welcome. I decided to do a random live stream today instead of the normal video. See how it goes. Figured why not. And this way, if you guys are interested, you can kind of see more of me just actually sketching, starting a piece. So yeah. Also, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I will try and keep up with the comments that are going on. I am obviously on my phone. And hello to you, Peggy. I think Alabama isn't too far from here. I used to. I'm actually originally from Oregon, so Alabama would have been a hot minute away. But yeah, I decided that for obviously going into this new year, I wanted to try some things, and I figured trying a live stream would be interesting enough and different. Normally it's a little easier when you just record and then kind of are able to go over what you're doing. And obviously editing stuff out. And when I sketch, sometimes the sketching process takes me quite a bit of time. So that's why I don't typically do it on camera, because I'm sure even just looking at this, I'll end up erasing a good bit and going back and placing things. So it all just depends. Sometimes I even start over my sketch if I'm not a fan of it. So. And hello to you. Hopefully the volume and everything is coming over to you guys. Like I said, I am on my phone, so I understand if maybe the mic isn't all that great, but wanted to see what I could do for you guys. Plus, I figured it'd be fun to get to chat with you guys also, more on a personal basis, rather than just me rambling along in my videos, obviously. I wish it snowed down here. Obviously, Florida being the sunshine state, there's no chance it's ever gonna snow here, and I'm realistic with that. But one of the things I miss about living up north is the snow. And like, the snow has always been my favorite, even though for obvious reasons it's cold. But thank you, Peggy. But I love the way the snow looks. Jacksonville, Florida. So I mean, basically where I'm at, we're like kissing Georgia. And it's like I'm literally like a 15-minute drive from Georgia in all reality. And that's funny that your cats like to play in it. When we lived in Japan for a little while, as some of you guys may know, my husband is military, so we were over in Japan for a few years, and that is actually where we got our first husky. And it was a completely random ordeal because we liked to go to the pet shops there and just kind of like give love to all the animals that they had. And we would also go to the pet shelters and everything. And one of our biggest things was, if we ever saw a husky, it was gonna happen. Like, because me and my husband both grew up with a love of dogs. He used to have an Akita as a kid, and he, that was one we talked about. If we ever find a husky, you know, that's gonna be what we get. And we were out and about one day, and it was like just before we were gonna go out to lunch, and we stopped at this one place, and sure enough, lady, that's what we called her, is just chilling there, and she was super quiet and super sweet, and we were like, oh man, we have to like give love to this puppy. And as soon as my husband picked her up, she just loved him, and he was like, I don't know what I can do. So we ended up being put on a waiting list. There was like 4 people in front of us, and me and my husband are kind of the same mindset, where it's like, you know, if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. If not, you know, I can show you guys her. She's sleeping by the front door. We got 3 of them. Give me a second. Oh, gotta pull you off of the my stand. That is Spooderman. The hi Bootses. That is our youngest. He's our little boy. He was actually given to us. That is Misty. He's saying hi. And then that is Lady. She is our oldest. Fluff. Hi, Mama Fluff. Yeah, Misty's the sweetheart. I mean, they're all super sweet, but Misty is like undeniably the sweetest puppy I have ever met. She's super friendly. Oh, sorry about that. Super nice, super gentle. And like the first time she ever met a kid, our friends were a bit concerned because for obvious reasons, huskies are big and fluffy. And our friend's kid was only like 2 at the time, and Misty just slowly like crawled to her and just nuzzled her. So all the worries from our friends just kind of disappeared, but it was cute to see, especially because we didn't know how she was gonna react. We knew she's not, you know how some dogs, like, they like to play and they get a little rough, and they'll, like ours, Lady and Spooderman will like put their mouth on you, but they won't do anything. They just kind of like put their mouth on you and want to play. There's no pressure behind it, but that's kind of like their sign of wanting to play a bit more. Misty doesn't even do that. She like doesn't like to play rough. She just kind of, if you get her excited, she spazzes out and kind of jumps all over the place. So it makes us laugh. Like each one of them are 100% like different personalities, and it really cracks us up because it's kind of just the way that they are. And that's I think the thing I love about pets in general is all pets, even cats or dogs, and in some cases, like I grew up on a farm, so like we had a pig, we had some horses and some cows, and they're just all different personalities, and it's really kind of funny to see how animals have their own kind of take. You know, obviously, they're not as expressive as we can be, but I'm telling you, my huskers, they can be rather expressive when they want to be. I think my favorite story about Misty was we got her when came back from Japan. We stayed up north. We were with my mom, who she lives still in Oregon, and we were there for a little while because my husband had like a break. And so we decided to spend some time there and kind of enjoy ourselves. But at the time, my mom had other dogs, and my friend living there and had dogs as well. And because of that, Lady basically had herself like a little friend or little friends to play with, and really quickly adapted to having like a little group that she could get along with. So we knew from that point on that we had to get her a little buddy, and we had no idea how that was going to go. We didn't know what we were going to do exactly because we didn't know if we were going to get another husky, if we were going to like find another kind of dog, because we love all kinds of, you know, dogs, like German shepherds, pit bulls, all of them. They're just all big old sweethearts. And we ended up finding a lady who was helping a friend of hers who just had a litter, and we were going, it was a litter of Malamutes actually, and that's what we were originally going to get, and it was going to be a big old boy, and well, we would have to wait, and we didn't know if we had the time, and we really wanted to because the lady was really sweet and trying to help out her friend and all that. And you know, we it's not that I'm against pet shops, but a lot of times pet shops tend to not do it in the right ways. A lot of them don't help other breeders, or people who've had litters. They tend to go to pet farms, which obviously aren't great. And we ended up finding a little like local pet shop that all they did was help families who had litters or had were breeders, and really sweet people, just this little like mom and pop shop. And there was Misty with her sister, and that was really hard because we wanted to take them both, but we knew we wouldn't be able to. And we spent, Misty was so shy then, and she was so tiny because she was really the runt, and we spent like 3 hours getting accustomed to her and just fell in love. It was, she was just the sweetest little thing, and she still is. And she's been with us ever since. That was about 5 years ago now. So it's huskies are a lot of energy. So if you ever consider it, just be prepared for that, because whoo baby. But they are super loyal and super sweethearts. I will say this though, if you ever do consider getting a husky, don't get one alone. I would say I would recommend getting one if you already have like a dog, or if you're gonna get like adopt two of them, especially because the thing that breaks our heart with huskies is huskies more often than not end up in shelters because they are high energy, and when you get them alone they get anxiety real easily. So it's one of those where that's where actually Spooderman came in, and we were really happy to take in Spooderman. Spooderman, a friend of ours had gotten, and he got him for him and his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend kind of dumped him, and he was like, I don't know what to do, because he's military also, and he was like, I don't have the time to take care of this pup. You know, I'm realistic about that. What am I supposed to do? And we were, at the time we were like, well, you know, we can't afford to uh, pay for a new pet, or like really look at paying adopting fees and stuff like that. And we had gone to the shelters and had really been looking for another husky, or another German shepherd, or a German shepherd, or a pit bull to kind of join the fam. And that's when he had contacted us, and he was super sweet about it. And he was like, look, I just want to give him a good home, and I don't want to end up taking him to a shelter. And so we were like, yeah, definitely. And that's how Spooter joined our little family. And he's the only boy, and I will say this, boy dogs are so stubborn. So stubborn, but so sweet. But he's going on 3 now this year. We got him when we were back in San Diego, and he was super little when we got him, and surprisingly, he's only like 55 pounds. Oh, I understand that. When I was a teenager, I always wanted a cat. Like I still love cats. Like I love all animals. Oh no, that's sad. But that does happen. A really good friend of mine had a bunch of cats, and she had like 3 or 4 cats. And her neighbor ended up like their cat ended up hiding kittens in her good friends slash neighbors like bottom drawer of her dresser. And she, I don't know how, like they didn't find out until after she had the litter that she was pregnant, obviously. And so um, she ended up getting another cat from that litter and also helping find homes and all that for those. I just, like, I would love to get a cat, but I'm realistic with these guys where they would be jealous. Not that they would be aggressive or anything like that, there would just be a huge jealousy factor. Especially with Spooderman. Man, sometimes Misty too. Like, Misty cracks me up where she will sit on the other side of the room, she will stare at you, and she will like whine and throw her fists at you. Waiting for you to come give her love, basically. That's true. Kitties do run the house. They, when we were living in the apartments in Japan before we moved out in town, we had 2 kittens, or 2 cats. Um, one was Kuro, was Big Fluffy Sweetheart, and the other was Pig Newton. Hey Momo. And Pig Newton was a little butthole. Like, he was a big old sweetheart, but he was just a little butthole. And we ended up readopting him because a friend of ours came over, someone we were actually sponsoring, who absolutely fell in love with him. And she had asked if she could have him. And we had known that we were going to move out into town. We didn't know how it was going to affect him. And so we let her adopt him, and she still has him. She absolutely loves him. He adores her, and she has 3 other cats, and and Kuro's the one we miss the most. Kuro has a lovely home, but Kuro was a Japanese breed, and for whatever reason, when trying to come back to the States, it was extremely hard to bring Kuro back over. And they basically were trying to give us like 6 months of work for the cat, and he only had 3 months left in Japan. And it broke his heart. That was when he volunteered at the pet shelter. That was the cat that he's picked out specifically. So it was hard for him. But we had readopted her to a great friend, and we still get pictures of her. And she's still a fluffy sweetheart and looks super happy. It was just one of those, like, that's why we both want to get a cat, but we're also waiting until these guys are old enough and more set in their ways. Yeah, thank you. And yes, the cats, I just saw your other comment, they do flop over pets, which cracks me up. Like, they just are no F's given kind of personalities where they're just like, hey, I'm gonna lay here, and if you want me to move, you're gonna have to move me yourself. Which is funny because these guys, Lady was raised by Kuro when we first got her. So Lady acts like a cat. When she was little, she used to get on like the bottom bookshelf and wedge herself in. And she still wedges herself into the smallest of spaces. A 70-pound fluffy husky that tries to wedge herself into the most ridiculously tiny spots. And it cracks me up because she'll also, like, if you're sitting on the couch and you have like maybe less than a foot between the arm of the couch and you, she will come and bury herself in between that like space. And she'll just take up as much as she can. But it cracks me up. The animals have like the best personalities in my opinion. Honestly, I had no idea where I was going with this, so I'm just taking it wherever it decides to go. But thank you for all of you who have been joining me, and I'm sure it isn't the best quality because I'm trying to, like, obviously on my phone it's fine, but I don't know how it is for you guys coming through. My goal in the future is to try and figure out, like, I really in time want to get like a quality camera for doing these videos for you guys and doing these live streams and trying to set it up for you in a more like professional manner, but obviously that requires money, so it's just gonna take some time. But I am grateful to everyone who's been showing up, everyone who also has been watching my videos. You guys have been so awesome and so encouraging, and it's been the best, really. This year's kind of been crazy for me. I mean, not like crazy in a bad sense, but me and my husband, since started December 1st, kind of getting more into like basically trying to become the healthier versions of ourselves. So, like, I've been trying to do more research on clean eating because I'll be the first to admit that terrible eating habits. And living here in the South, they have the best damn barbecue there is. And, like, it's a weakness, but been doing pretty good, and like been trying to educate myself, which I think is important going into anything. And I've come to notice as of late that for me, art wise, like, I haven't been quite as motivated, and that's where I've wanted to really get out more videos for you guys. But it's like like today I was gonna do a tutorial, and I was sitting here for probably about 30 minutes, and I was like, what am I gonna do a tutorial on? I have no idea. And so that's when I decided I would just go ahead and try a live stream for you guys. See how it came out, see how you guys enjoyed it, and also get to chit chat with you guys, you know, a little more personal in a sense. So I appreciate all of you who come by and were watching. And all of you who have said hello into the comments, that is always greatly appreciated. Let's see. Now, the one thing I will say, if you guys ever have any questions, is I know I've talked about this before in past videos, but I always use Prismacolor Cool Erase pencils. Yeah, it's actually been really nice chatting with you guys. But the Prismacolor Cool Erases, if you ever have a color that you specifically like, look on Amazon, man. It's so cheap. I think like I got a 12-pack of these for basically $1 a piece. Granted, it's more expensive than a regular pencil, but I personally like love these things. I always have. Ever since, I think actually the first time I saw an artist using them was Torianne, or she's Torianne on Instagram. Camera's about to drop, so give me a moment. She's Torianne on Instagram and Juicy Ink on YouTube here, and she, in past videos, I cannot get this last tier down. Oh, there we go. I'm watching my live stream on my iPad so I can see your guys' comments. But she was using those, and I love the fact that for one, they were colored pencil, but two, they were actually really nice and erasable. And that was the big thing that drew me to trying them out. And there was like a 24-pack of a variety of colors, and I think it was like on sale at the time for like $10. And I'm down for anything that's on sale or cheap. As I'm sure most of you are. And yeah, I mean, I recommend it. It's now granted, obviously with anything it depends on the pressure that you put for these, but really, I mean, you can see where I've erased, and there are some lines, but that also depends on like the eraser I use. A lot of times when I want to really in depth, I'll use one of the kneaded erasers, the ones that you can kind of shape, because these ones, you know, you can apply pressure or you can use them like a real eraser, and they tend to pick up more in my opinion. But it's kind of like with everything, the more pressure that you put with a pencil, the more of a staining effect it has to the paper itself. So, I mean, it all just depends. But personally, I've come to love them. I've used them to where they're down to like this day, and then I'm like, oh, I should probably replace that. Now, for the longest time, I had a kneaded eraser, but I like never used the kneaded eraser. And I started using one when I watched some like top 10 video. I can't remember what it was, but it was like I'm on YouTube all the time. I don't watch regular TV. I will stream like just about everything nowadays, like most people do, I guess. But I was watching like a top 10 art supplies you didn't realize you needed, and some of them I was kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, I get that, but I know personally I would use that. Like, I don't really use charcoal or pastels very often, but the kneaded eraser was the one that caught my eye the most. And more so because I had them in the past, but I never actually utilized them. And it kind of gave like a different ways to use it also. And I was like, that makes a lot more sense, because I was just like, oh, it's just an eraser. But I mean, ever since I started using it, like the ways that I had seen where, you can use it to erase and just apply pressure with it. And there are actual videos of like how to use kneaded erasers. I mean, it makes more sense to me, and it's a lot better than the generic eraser that comes with like your pencil and stuff like that. So I thought it was great. And I'm terrible about going through erasers. So the kneaded one kind of works out, because you like use it, and then if it starts to get too much color on it, you kind of just like roll it around like clay, and it helps to give you like a clean surface. But I also used to draw a lot more in graphic or graphite in graphic in using graphite and like pencil. And so back then, like the kneaded eraser for me would just like, especially not knowing how to use it properly, would just smear everything. So I had kind of given up on them for years. And then yeah, I have fun drawing thicker ladies. But but yeah, I'd given up on them for a long time, and then I had a gift to me by my husband's grandma. She's super sweet, and she sends him like a care package for his birthday and for Christmas every year. And she had given me one of these, and I was like, you know what? It's time to try it again. And that's when I had found that video. I don't know why that message was retracted, but all right. That was not me, I swear. I don't care what y'all say. I try to keep it as clean as possible in my videos for family purposes, obviously, but I would be the first to admit that I have the mouth of a sailor. Granted, I'm married to a sailor, but it can be bad sometimes. More so when I get frustrated. But it's pretty rare that I get frustrated, so I will say that it's not that bad. But yeah, the Prismacolor Kohlrace and then the kneaded eraser especially has been more so my recent best friend. The Prismacolor Kohlrace I've been using for a few years and just still continue to like it. And they're cheap. I mean, especially if you go on Amazon, like some places are hard to find or they're overprice them, but if you go on Amazon, I want to say the 24 pack even for trying out the different colors is still relatively inexpensive. And I get that. When you hurt yourself, you kind of can't help but like your brain just kind of instantly is like, dang it. I mean, I get it. The way I think about it is like I like to say that I kind of have like my what was it? What did I used to call it? I used to call it like my grandma phase, where it was like me acting as if I was in front of my grandma and things I wouldn't say. So we're like what I kind of think about when I'm on like doing YouTube videos or voiceovers and stuff like that. Like there's been times where I've had to edit my video because especially if I do, like when I do the tutorials, obviously I talk as I'm drawing, kind of like I am now, but I will straight up like drop an F-bomb or something, not even meaning to or realizing it. And then I'm like, oh shoot, like edit that while I'm editing the video. And because sometimes it just slips and you don't even realize it until after you're re-listening to it, and then you're like, oh no, that shouldn't be in there. But I will say this for multi-liners, as I am doing this right now because I just thought about this. I still haven't found one that I actually like more than Pigma Microns. Now, like I started with using the copy multi-liners, but they can actually be a bit more pricey than I care for. Hi, Finn. I'm just gonna nickname you Finn. Rather than mispronouncing by chance. But the pigments, I mean, granted, the pigments aren't cheap, but like I said, I'm a lover of coupons. And with like Michaels or Hobby Lobbies, even like if you're from the northwest area of like Oregon, Pacific Northwest, the craft warehouses, a lot of times they'll have like a 40% off coupon. And I say use the heck out of those. But yep. I mean, I'll boast. Don't get me wrong. If y'all ever listen to this Pigma or Canson or Prismacolor and you want to sponsor me, I will not say no to you. But every sketchbook I have, I swear is, I mean, I have a few that are different and random, but majority, the Canson XL multimedia paper is what I love to use. It's what I'm using right now. Um, it just varies, but in size at least. But primarily, like it's always the Canson XL. And not much going on over here, Finn. Just doing some sketching, chatting with y'all. Because I want to say hi. Yeah, see, the app is the best. That's how it is here. Like, there's a Hobby Lobby and a Michaels within, like, not even 5 minutes of each other. They're basically in the same mall area. So I will use my 40% off coupon at Hobby Lobby, then hop over to Michael's and use my 40% off coupon there. Like, I am all about saving money, especially when it comes to art supplies, because this stuff is not cheap. I will say that. But, like, I personally, I did get lucky when I bought my Copic collection, because we were living in Japan, and, Copics are literally half the price they are there than in the United States. So I stocked up while I could because I knew once we got back, I just wouldn't be able to afford them. And even now, like, I think I've only bought like 4 or 5 in the last 5 years because I tend to just buy them when they run out. And all the Copics I have are probably like 6 years old and they're still good. You know, it just depends on how much you use a color and all that, or how heavy you use it. But yeah, I went back to Oregon to visit my mom, and for the first time ever, they had a Hobby Lobby come into there because it used to be that they didn't have Hobby Lobbies in Oregon. It was Craft Warehouse and like Joann Fabrics and Crafts that you would get your supplies from. And when I saw that they put in a Hobby Lobby, I was like, oh dang, you guys are finally getting in the crafty business. Or you'd have to go to like actual art specific stores, which art specific stores, don't get me wrong, I love them. Some of them can have way better prices, but some of them can also overprice everything. I've been to mix of both. Like I went to one in downtown Portland once, because I was hanging out downtown, and I know the owners of Portland Burger that are down there. They used to own Burger, and so I was out there like going to visit them and saw this little art shop, and I was like, oh cool, hop in here and check it out. And I know it's because it was promptly like downtown, and everything that's downtown is usually more expensive. But I mean, there's a point where it gets a bit ridiculous. Like I was looking at even like the Canson XLs sketchbooks, and like for this size that I'm using right now, which is let's see, this is the 7 by 10, and they had that one, which typically like I'll go out and buy this. They have it at Walmart even for like $8. They had that one there for like $16, and I was like, there's no way I'm paying double the price. Oof, like that's when places get a bit ridiculous to me. Like even when I went to Disney and Universal with my sister while she was here visiting this last month, and like I collect the pop vinyl figures. I have quite a bit of them, and I ended up getting one of the Disney exclusive ones, but I just got one of them because it was like $20. Which, granted, Disney exclusive makes a lot more sense. They had some though that weren't actually exclusive there, and they were still the $20, and I was like, oof, like nope. See, I'm cheap. Granted, like I don't work right now. Um, been in the process of looking for a job out here. When we lived in California, I actually used to work at a donut company. Yes, see, me too, Peggy. I have more than I need, I'm sure, but I have a good bit of collection. Like I have the old school Batman collection, or I should say Batman animated series. Um, I've got my husband got me like the Deadpool Bob Ross. To be fair, he does feed my collection a bit, so it's not just me. Like, but I think those ones. I think that's the reason I love those. Is we started collecting when we were in Japan, because one of the coolest things about Tokyo, because we had gone down to downtown Tokyo a few times. It was like a 40-minute train ride, and there was this section of Tokyo, because Tokyo was basically split into like 16 districts, and there was a place there that we loved called Akihabara, and it was like nicknamed the Electric Town. So, but the cool thing about it is if you were into collectibles, they had just shops that were like 6 stories high that just had like the anime collectibles, and these things, I mean, they're just beautiful, and you would get them for like $10. Yeah, I mean, we have a Walmart. I didn't know Walmart had exclusive ones. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, we would get some of these really nice Japanese collectibles for like $10, where back in the States, they're super expensive. Oh, very cool. Yeah, my friends that I grew up with, like used to go to youth group with and everything. I'm still friends with them. I'm like best friends with especially the sister to the wife. But he was Marine and he got stationed in Okinawa. And so like anytime I go back home, and cuz they're back in Oregon now also. So anytime I go visit my best friend, usually she has her sister and husband with her, and they always bring up like what they miss about Japan, because they know like I can relate in some ways. It just cracks me up. Like I know obviously I've brought it up times today, but I do try not to talk about it too much, but experiences are experiences. I just more in the sense of I don't know. I'm not really one to like try by any means boast or talk about stuff, especially because sometimes I've had people get rude and like, oh, you're just special, aren't you? I don't know, stupid stuff. Anyways, aside from that, um, yeah, that's really that got us started on collecting, and then we got back to the States, and Funkos are like in the same price range of that, like $10, and that's what I started collecting. I'll show you guys. Oh, be prepared for that camera. I have my whole little setup here. Now that's super cool. I've always wanted to go to like England. This little guy, I actually made this little guy. He's made out of polymer clay. But yeah, I have my little Gravity Falls stuff. Obviously Bob's Burgers. The wood pieces in the back I made. Adventure Time, because I absolutely love Adventure Time. And I am working on getting all the Bombshell ones because I do love I have Groot also. This is the Disney World exclusive one. Oh yeah, another little polymer clay guy I made. Sometimes I do polymer clay little guys and have fun with them. And then this is like a mix of some of our Japanese collectibles. The Jack Skellington I actually got when in Japan also. And there's the Groot in the back there. I'm working on getting more shells for these guys. Thank you. I've thought about doing some polymer clay videos for you guys, if you guys would even be interested. But just because I have fun doing them. They're different and just fun to play with. And like, I got into doing polymer clay more so like for myself, because it's kind of just a fun little, I guess in a way, time killer, but it's also kind of relaxing just to create something and lose your train of thought doing it. Hello, Maggie. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you can join us. And it's nice to see, people popping in and out. And don't be ashamed to leave. I will say that. Like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm just glad you pop in even for a minute and say hi. It is super appreciated. But yeah, I actually have a lot of fun watching people create stuff out of polymer clay. So I started having fun and creating my own little figures, and I had sold them for a little while off of Etsy a couple years back, and I thought about picking it up again and maybe doing some videos for you guys of those. Those are definitely more like kawaii stuff. I wanted to start kind of learning and shaping a bit more. I know, you're fine. I was more so just saying, sometimes I pop off from doing the art and I'm showing like other stuff and people are like getting off. I don't care, it's fine. But it all the same, I'm happy that you're here. But yeah, I always say, and I'll always say this, is that have fun with just experience all kinds of different things in art. And that's what I did the polymer clay for. Was I had kind of played with polymer clay as a kid, but you don't really when you're that young, especially for me, like there was no YouTube at the time. It makes me sound old, but it's true. I mean, there wasn't when I had started doing polymer clay. I was working at my stepmom's quilt store, and this was in Enterprise, Oregon, which is population like 2,000 people. And I loved playing with the clay. I would get paid for helping her out. I was like probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I would get paid for helping her out, and I would take my little bit of money and run over to their little like mom and pops. Are granted, every store in that town was mom and pop, but I'd run over to the little like crafting store and get myself some polymer clay and just basically sit there and have fun creating little animals and stuff like that. That didn't even look like animals. I'll be fair. I would try to create like an elephant or something, and it would just be like the shape of it. But you know, it's all just fun when you're that age. So kind of getting to it when I got older was in a way like a nostalgia trip, but at the same time it was a lot more fun because it was kind of great to see where I had come from, you know. And I think that's kind of the way it is with everything. Like, I was looking back at super cool. Very cool. I didn't even think of that with the ribbon spools. Like, the ribbon spools are like, some of them can be heavy duty too, so that's really neat. But like, I think that's the best thing about art is like it's so relaxing when you get into everything, and you kind of just explore different mediums. That's why like this year I kind of want to start getting more into watercolor because I love the look of it, and like the way that it's very soft and you can build. So it's just kind of one of those exploring different mediums and having fun with it. And yeah, that's what I like to do. Like I was saying before, I was looking back at some of my old artwork from really when I started like drawing girls. And if you guys want to see, I could probably pull out a sketchbook. I think I have one somewhere here in the office. And use craft sticks for fencing. Interesting. I mean, that makes sense. I wouldn't think about that, but that is very cool. But it's crazy when you look back, like even just at yourself like a year ago or 5 years ago in your art, and just see the difference that you've made or the progress that you've made. And sometimes it's like, wow, like I came far along. Or you know, like look at the different things that I tried. And when you try different mediums and you try different things, to me it helps out a lot more because you kind of tend to, I don't know, you tend to find what you like. For me is prior to drawing the girls that I do, I used to draw nothing but like black and white. And I told my husband, I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to do color. Like, hi, Killer. And, or Kai, I guess calling you Killer isn't the best. But yeah, and like, I was adamant. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do color. I'm not good at color. I, like, previously done like color pencil and stuff and just wasn't a fan. And even with like coloring books, I tend to not use coloring books. I tend to use more as references, and I talked about that in my hand tutorial video where I don't really color with them. I also use them as like artist references and like a way of, because to me they're broken down in a sense, just line work, and that's a lot easier for me to look at and visualize and learn from than like a full color image. And that's one thing too, if you're ever looking at a reference photo and it's in full color and you're a bit confused by it, or like your brain can't really visualize the line work from it, turn it to gray and white, or black and white, gray and white. Turn it to black and white, and then try and brighten it to where really just the solid black lines stand out, and it gives you more of the line work from that piece. Now granted, that more so works with like digital images or images that have line work. It's not going to work quite as well with actual portrait pictures or pictures of people, but even still, changing them to black and white can help your brain kind of just visualize them more. And another thing that I learned from high school art class more than 10 years ago was flip the image upside down, and your brain visualizes more so the lines of the image itself rather than the image as a whole. So it makes your brain, kind of tricks your brain into seeing it in a different way. So, yeah, little tips and tricks by Greatly Gee. I mean, you could say, but granted, that's all stuff that, you know, helps and doesn't help. It's all up to you, really, preference wise. What do you prefer, you know, or find what you prefer? Because that's kind of how I had to do it, was figure out oh no, I feel for you, Maggie, because I completely get that, like, more than you realize. I had one piece that I was trying to do brush inking, like the brush pen inking, and I had gotten like probably 90% through it. I really liked how it turned out, and I had started like doing something on this side and then moved over to do something on the left side of the page, and didn't realize that I had a big old like ink splot on my like outside my palm, and I ended up smearing it across the face, and it was too much to get rid of, and I was just like, why you do this? So I didn't even try and restart the piece. I just kind of left it. And funny enough, my sister actually was going through some of my, really? You have to scratch the wall. But she was going through, I have like a pile of like sketches that I kind of just sit there, I'll admit. And yes, so it happens to all of us, but she ended up really liking it, even with the ink smear, and I was like, oh dear God. Like, don't get me wrong, I was happy she liked it, but you know, you as an artist tend to be a bit more picky, and you're just like, no, that one. And that was 100% me. I was like, sure, if you really want it. I mean, it's not doing anything but sitting in my art pile. Granted, I have a lot that just kind of sits in my art pile. I'm terrible about that. But, like I mentioned before on this channel, you know, I do have a plan to do a giveaway for you guys when we hit 1,000 subs on this channel. It'll be YouTube specific, and I've been trying to figure out like what piece I want to put up. Obviously, I want to put up a good one for you guys, so it's kind of just one of my plans is to put up a nice piece for you guys as a thank you for obviously being awesome, and thank you for subbing and watching my videos. So when we hit the point, be ready for that. We're gonna dive into my random art pile, and maybe I'll do a video where you guys can vote for the piece that you want, and we'll go for the one that's most voted for, because I want it to be obviously up to you guys. I want it to be something that you guys all would like as a piece, and would enjoy having, and especially because it is my appreciation towards you guys in a way for me to say thank you for being so awesome, least I could do. But I feel for you on going to color, and it's just messing. I still do it now every so often, and I try and work past it, but sometimes I'm like, nope, this piece is done. Like, and I've done that. I did that previously on a video I was recording for you guys. And I just stopped recording and then did the video. I was like, nope, I can't do this. You can hear the huskies playing in the background. They're like, Mom, we hear you talking, but you're not giving us any attention. What is this mess? But, oh man. Yeah, you got the feels for me, Maggie, and I'm sure other artists in here will sympathize with you. That is the worst. Especially, like you said, you were really happy with it. It's always bumming when that happens. I will say this. Sometimes, give yourself time on that piece. Like, or on, say you do mess up a piece and you're just, not sure where to go from there, or you don't like the way that it is. Sometimes the best thing to do for you, and you don't have to tell anybody about it, you don't have to bring it up. Oh, one of them just ran underneath my feet. And just set it aside. Set it aside. Don't look at it. And, let your skills grow. Let your style change a little. Let what you're doing, kind of just let yourself grow a bit more in time. And then revisit it. And sometimes you'd be surprised where you yourself can then look at it and go, you know what? I can change this. I can make this better. I can fix it. And sometimes you'll revisit it and realize, you know what? There's nothing I can do to fix this. I'm sad to say, but you know what? Maybe I'm willing to at least give the design another try and start over. That's always hard for me, but sometimes it's worth it. Like the light table you see underneath me, I don't always have it plugged in because I don't always use it. But every now and then, when I want to revisit something, or I feel like I've messed something up and want to give it a start over, I'll bring this baby or plug this baby in and give it a go. Try it out. And see how it goes. It doesn't always work, but this thing was like, like I said, I'm cheap. It was like $20 on Amazon. Can't go wrong. But it never hurts to revisit. Like, there's something about revisiting that kind of helps you to grow even further from where you've been. This thing is running out. A quick way to tell how your Copic marker is running out is obviously the blotchy, but when you run it, if you look at it real quick and you see your nib looking a bit white where you're applying the pressure, it's definitely starting to run low. Granted, this is the one that I tend to actually go out and buy because I don't have a refill for this color, but it's the color that I prefer to use. But yeah, I had one good outcome so far, revisiting a piece. And this was a piece that I was adamant that I had ruined. I wasn't happy with the way that it looked. I had this whole plan to ink it in red ink, and I absolutely loved the way that the red ink had turned out. And the first one, yes, it is. That is E51. It is the Milky White. And then the shadowing one that I'm using now is E21. Try and get that right view for you guys. But yeah, I had inked it all in red. Like all the line work was a red ink, and I had really liked where it was going. And I wanted to have a red. Damn, see, that happened. That's me. I had actually, funny enough, the X on there was because I recently purchased this. So I put an X on it so I knew which one to use. But when I say recently, that was like 4 months ago. And I've been doing a lot more coloring. They are expensive, Liliana, excuse me. They're one to, sometimes it's almost better to like buy one at a time with a coupon if you can. And because it just makes it a bit cheaper. Or sometimes I've seen it. Now, I haven't had it here personally, but sometimes if there's like a local art store for you, or even I've seen some crafting stores will have these occasionally go on sale. It's pretty rare, but sometimes you can get them going on sale. I saw someone post. I don't remember where it was for. I think it was like somewhere in Chicago, that these had gone on sale for like 50% off, and I was like, ooh, jealous much, like, because granted, 50% off is still a bit pricey. They are super expensive otherwise. But haven't really had much experience with other alcohol markers. I think a big thing with these is that I personally have grown to really love the brush nib. So I will kind of save up and buy like 3 or 4 at a time, just because they're what I prefer to use. But even then, like, I will really only buy refills. I don't really buy new colors. So it just, a lot of times I'll just wait until I need a color. Oh, Style File. I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Liliana. I am using the Canson XL multimedia paper. Touch 5 markers. Oh, from Wish. Okay. Hey, Wish is good too. Let me show off the sketchbook. So Canson XL mixed media. It's a 7x10. The pound is 98 and 160 grams. So Wish, I haven't tried any of the markers from Wish. I've seen them, but haven't gotten a chance to. Well, that's good. Yeah, like I was saying earlier here, I purchased a lot of my Copic collection when I was in Japan. So I got a lot of them for half the price they are in the United States and in a lot of other places as well. Because I know unless you're actually like in Japan, they can a lot of times like double the price. But I mean, if you find a brand, and this is the thing that I like alcohol markers. So I'm sure if I found another brand that was cheaper, I would be like, heck yeah. But the one thing I will always say is that if you find something that you like and that you can work with, whether it's the cheap stuff, it's the expensive stuff, whatever it is, if you like it and you really enjoy it, then use it. You know, granted, if it's the expensive stuff, obviously you gotta kind of save up to get it. And I completely get that. And finding an alternative is the best thing to do in that case. But whatever you end up liking, use it. Don't let people who are like, oh, you have to use only this brand. You know, like that drives me crazy when people are like, this brand is the only brand you should use because it's the best brand there is. That's donkey poo, to put it politely. You know, I say use what you like, you know. Use what you can afford. I see people do work with Sharpies and work with Crayola markers that is insane. And I'm like, why can't I do that with those markers? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of are just like, how do you do that? And I mean, that's why I say kudos. You know, people find ways to use things that just is incredible. I give you all the more credit for it because, like, I try and do the same thing, and I'm not as familiar or comfortable with the medium, and that's where it kind of comes into place. You can kind of just learn over time. Like I've had the same, like really, I've had the same set of Copics and used the same set of Copics, and I've only switched out probably 6 of them for like a new one because I needed a refill, like the E51 here. But I've used the same ones for 6 years, and like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I come across one that I haven't used in a hot minute, and I'm like, oh, this one's empty, that sucks, time to try a different one. But you know, at the same time, like, that's the one thing I appreciate is that, yeah, they're expensive, but I mean, they really last. And if you can manage to buy like a refill bottle, which is about the same size as buying an actual Copic sketch marker, then they can really last. Because I've had a refill bottle, like, I haven't even used a refill bottle. And I've had the same refill bottles for 6 years. So that's where, you know, I'll say is where I kind of have a bit more appreciation for Copic. I haven't found other alcohol markers that also offer like the refill bottles. Now, granted, if a less expensive brand starts doing that, I am more than up to switching because obviously these things are not cheap. Oh yeah, for sure. If I end up finding something different and I'm like, hey, let's try these, I will 100% let you guys know because I'm all for that. Oh, see, look at you promoting this style file. See, I'm gonna have to try those because, like I said, I'm all for like less expensive stuff that's just as good as the good stuff. Like that's where I like the Canson multimedia paper. The paper that I'm using, it's not very expensive, and for me personally, like I like it more than most marker paper because I'm not really a big fan of the glossy marker paper. That more often than not is what you get. You know what I mean? Now, granted, like I'm sure Okay, it hasn't bled onto the other page yet, but you can see my marker work on the opposite side. Like, I'll show you guys. Like, you can see it coming through. But if you look, like, there's nothing there. A lot of times I will put paper down because sometimes it will spot. But, I mean, you've seen how much I've done. It still hasn't bled through. That's why I like the Canson, man. Canson is not very expensive. You can find it at Walmart or, like, hobby stores. And it's good paper. The Prismacolor markers or color pencils? That is true, Maggie. Because Prismacolor, if you're talking about the colored pencils, I mean, I've used the colored pencils with this stuff also, and I really like it. I don't color pencils very often, but they do work. Now, granted, for colored pencils, a lot of times you don't want as heavy of a grain. You want more of like a sketch paper, because it's more of like a flat surface, but it really depends on like the look you're going for. Give me just a second. I know somewhere around here. This is the problem with even in my office, I get confused. But I did a color pencil piece on the multimedia paper, and to me it really depends on the look you're going for. If you're going for, like, people like to go really heavy with the Prismacolor and get that really like almost marker looking texture, where it's not like a grainy texture. I would recommend more of like a sketch paper, or a Canson does have like a color pencil specific paper. It's usually, I think it's under the sketch paper, but because a lot of times when you are using the Prismacolors in that sense, you tend to press a bit harder and use them a bit more. It can flatten the paper, which when you have a heavier grained paper, it can cause the bowing. And I know that obviously you don't want it to bow when you do use it. So let me see if I have it up here. These are a lot of the Inktober stuff, so forgive me. Trying to figure out where I did the color pencil one, so I could show you kind of just an example. Well, we'll have to come back to that. But yeah, I would say if you're looking to use the Prismacolors heavily on paper, look for more of a sketch type paper. It's going to be not quite as grainy, more of a flat paper. And if you're looking for the more grainy type of texture, then I would say venture into trying out the multimedia paper. But I mean, it's really just a matter of what you found you like and what you'd like to try. So, I mean, you'd really have to just kind of let me know there. Give me just a moment. Oh, yeah. It's no problem. I don't mind helping out. I gotta let these guys out real quick. They're like, Mom, I gotta go potty. So, we're going to the back door. Go on. It's okay. Go potty. Go potty. You can say hi. Come here. I see a little like fur tuft on you that's sticking out your neck. With all that fluff. Huh? All that fluff. You say hi. Bootses, come on. If you're done, come on. Well, excuse you. Excuse you. Thank you. Oh, that's lovely. You're supposed to drink the water, not inhale it. Yeah, they're goobers. They're the fluffs. Thank you guys for that patience. They just kept coming up to me like, Mom, I gotta go out. Granted, it was only the little one that had to go out. Still, better safe than sorry. But, yeah, thank you for asking me about the Prismacolors. I don't mind. I'll, if I can tell you, I would let you know. So they're actually, I have 3 dogs, Liliana, to answer your question. And then, they're Spider-Man, like, slip-on slippers. They're kind of like socks. They're like the sock slippers. So they have, like, the grippies on the bottom and everything. It's, for Florida, it's actually been relatively cool down here. Granted, today's a little warmer. It's actually in the 70s. But it's dropped down to the low 30s down here, which has been nice. So with the tile floor, it kind of helps to keep my toesies warm. So, and I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. Like, show you guys some of my little nerding out stuff here. The rest of my office there's that Spider-Man poster, that Spider-Man poster, that Spider-Man poster, and that Spider-Man. And then that fluff. And Spooderman, that's that guy. So obviously there's a lot of love for Spider-Man in this house. But, like, I have that little Spider-Man bobblehead. I actually just got, over here, I haven't put it up yet, but Spider-Man Noir and Mary Jane. That's amazing. Little Spider-Man's there. I actually have always wanted to go to Germany. My grandfather's family is from the Black Forest. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Very, very little, but I can understand more than I can speak, I'll admit. So hello to you in Germany. I am so glad you guys are joining in today from all over, it seems. I have not yet made a spider Sona, so I have been seeing that going around, and I'm like, man, I need to. Like, so to get more onto my nerd side, I have actually been a Spider-Man fan since I was like 5 or 6, maybe even a little older than that. Very much so. Agree. The different time zones is incredible. But I've just been a Spider-Man nerd like my entire life, and like I'm getting out some of my more nerdy zone for you guys. Like I have the Amazing Spider-Man 700 here, like Death of Spider-Man variant, because yes, I'm a nerd. Like, I love me some Spider-Gwen. So Carnage and Venom. Alright, 945 ain't bad. More of the Spider-Gwen, Gwenom, the Spirit. Like, there's all kinds of nerdiness that happens in this household. So that's why I welcome everybody from all walks of life. But yeah, I've been like doing sketches of doing the spider Sona, but I haven't like settled on one I like. I was thinking, because here comes my even nerdier side. When I went to Universal, my sister, while she was out here, literally the only thing I bought in Universal was a Spider-Man onesie. So I have an idea for my spider Sona, where it's gonna be my Spider-Man slippers, my Spider-Man onesie, and I also have this like Spider-Man beanie somewhere here in my office that my husband got me, that like you squeeze a little pump and its hands like fly up. So I kind like, I figured for my little spider Sona it would just be like super nerd spider Sona, because you gotta have fun with it, you know. And yeah, for me it is 15:47. So, and Maggie, you're not too far ahead, so that's not bad at all. Oh, Washington State. Love me some Washington State. I actually, when I come up to Oregon in, I think I'm gonna be heading there in like September time frame. Oh, hush you. And going up to visit my uncle who lives near Silverton Falls, is where. I think it's Silverton Falls. It's been a hot minute. I don't remember the cities. But all I know is that he's like an hour outside of Seattle. So not all the way up there from Portland, but he's up there. Granted, now my mom lives more south in Oregon than she used to. But yeah, it's definitely nice seeing it from all different kinds of places. That is absolutely wonderful. I am, like I said, super appreciative of you all being here, listening to my random chit chat. Getting to talk with you all has been great. Like, I have fun doing the videos, but it's definitely been really nice. Like, guinea pig's kind of cold. Oh no. Like, that's like, I feel bad, but that's also kind of adorable. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. And guinea pigs to me are super cute. Like, super cute. Growing up, my mom was never a fan of pets like guinea pigs or hamsters. She's adamantly like a dog person. Like my dad, for a while, had a cat, and oh, but my mom hated the cat. She's not a cat person. That's why me and my sister, like, always wanted to have a cat, but she was like, oh no. Sneezing for a whole week. That's crazy. Hopefully it will pass, but it could be the dry air, like, especially dry cold air. That'll, I mean, that dries anybody up, really. When so Misty and Spoon have not experienced snow, which we have this whole like trip planned to try and take them this next year. My husband's gonna be getting off of the ship, which, with him being in the Navy, when he's on a ship, he can leave at any time. Trying to like actually go somewhere for the weekend or do something more than just hanging out in our neighborhood is more, it's just a bit more complicated. we can do it, but it's just like if he has to go, then obviously like we have to leave. So we don't really plan for anything until he's on what they call shore duty, which means that he works like from the shore basically. He's not attached to a ship as I call it. And we plan on taking Misty and, well, all of them. I was gonna say Misty and Spoon, but we plan on taking all three of them up to the snow and seeing how they do. Spooderman, I don't know how he's gonna handle the cold because, silly enough, even though he is husky through and through, this little guy likes to sunbathe, like straight up chill in the sun and like sleep sunbathing. Oh no. Oh, well, hopefully your guinea pigs get better and it passes, because that's sad. Let's see if this. Oh, mother trucker. But yeah, you guys, I mean, whew, stay warm while you can. I know this weird, like, freeze has just kind of gone through and it's been stupid cold for a lot of people. So stay warm, stay safe. Like, that's all I can say. Like, granted, like, you know, oh, thank you. I I was debating going with like a blue, and so I pulled out like these two blue markers, but then I was like, you know what? We're going purple. I love me some purple. but but yeah, like I was saying, like down here in the south, you know, obviously like we don't deal with the cold the same. So those of you who are dealing with the cold, you know, I know how it is. You know, I used to have to drive in snow and worry about black ice and everything, and so stay safe, be safe. That's all I can say. You know, keep those fireplaces going, keep the babies warm. Lady, my husky, she freaks out when it snows and she turns into a dolphin. Whew. Yeah, I know. Oh, man. Yeah, I know some of the places in Europe were having crazy weather, and then I want to say places up near Canada and the northern states, like northern mid states, and some of Washington as well, was hit with some extreme weather. Now, I know you guys in Europe are in Celsius, so forgive me, I'm not very good with the translation for Celsius to Fahrenheit, but over here, I know some temperatures were hitting -20. My father-in-law is up in upstate New York, and he had hit -20 and had 7 feet of snow. So, somewhere along those lines. So, whew, I just, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the snow, but there's a difference between like snow that's fun and snow that's like we need to like load up on firewood and keep everybody staying toasty. Like, granted, I was that nuts child that it would be like -20 out, and when I was a kid I would go out in a tank top and shorts and prove the world wrong, because you kind of just don't think about it when you're little. I was like, it's cold, but because there's no breeze, it's not like I'm freezing. Granted, my older brother would do the exact same thing, so it was more so like me trying to prove myself against him. Because he's only 3 years older, but me and him, a lot of times when we get together, kind of have this like sibling competitive like force that comes to us. Okay. You Googled it. I was gonna, like, if I had the ability to Google it, I would have. Ooh, -29 degrees Celsius. Okay. So that, I mean, I understand the translation a little bit more, or the transition. But yeah, -20 for states is, or Fahrenheit is, it's cold. And I know some places even drop below that. It just depends on where you were. So I have a few friends who are up in Indiana, and they were like, we didn't leave the house. I was like, I wouldn't leave the house either. Excuse me. I am talking. So you can hear them getting their little fluffy ornery going. But I like, my husband cracks up because he's from Florida. I'm from Oregon, and like it hits like, 40s, 50s here, and I'm still in a short sleeve t-shirt, and like I don't really wear shorts, but like the ankle, I don't know what they're, the capris. I had to think of the term for a second there. But like, and I'll wear something that's just a bit more comfortable. And he's like, this is how, you're a tourist. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, even though I live here now, I'm a tourist. He's like, yeah, because you're wearing short sleeves and it's like 40 degrees outside. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not like it's breezy. I kind of figured it out as I go. I was like, oh, maybe I will do tattoos, maybe I won't. And then I decided I was going to do tattoos. So, I don't know. We'll see how many tattoos she gets. At first, I kind of just let it take its own course. Never really know what I'm going to do. Especially for this one. This one was kind of just, let's draw something and talk to you guys. But, let's see. Honestly, I have been drawing kind of nonstop for like 5 or 6 years. And when I started drawing girls, at least, I had art school, or not art school, but art classes back in high school. I had done like 2 college art courses, but I wasn't a huge fan of them. And I kind of just had my own way of drawing, and I always drew just black and white, and I kind of just had fun with it. Wasn't really taking it anywhere. And then I was sitting there and drawing and hanging out with my husband, and we were watching something. He was like, like, what do you want to do with your art? And I said, well, one thing I'd love to do is I'd love to get to the point where I can draw pinups. I've always been a fan of like pinup style. But granted, I wanted to have my own kind of style in that region. And hey, hush. And I started drawing, and he was like, you know, the only way for you to get better is to just keep practicing and draw every day. And so that's what I did. I just started really pushing myself, and they're trying to get my attention right now because they're right behind me. Hey, excuse, oh, is that your bone? Never mind, they're playing over a bone. But this was about 6 years ago, and he was like, you know, I think if you really want to do this, you can do this. You just need to keep practicing and start drawing like every day and keep working towards it. And it very much so, Anonymous. It was practice and dedication, and a lot of practice, and a lot of trying different styles, and a lot of learning and figuring out and trial and error. And give me just a moment. I'm gonna grab an old sketchbook for you guys, and I'm gonna kind of just show you some of my old sketches. And thank you. And really, it took me time to just get to where I was. And so when I started with just drawing faces, right? And that was all I drew. And I drew nothing but faces for probably 2 years. Like, it was just straight, like, all I'm drawing is faces. All I'm gonna sketch is faces. And this was just to practice getting better at drawing faces. And let's see, the first one, yeah, we'll do, I have one 2015. I think some of my older ones are upstairs, which I will eventually, I'll get those ones down for you guys because I have them in storage and show you. But I'm gonna lift you up so I can give you more of a view. Forgive me for the shakiness. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. All right, so this was 2015 era for me. Let me try and get you a good angle on here. So 2015, I was still definitely figuring out my style, right? And this was a lot of what, you know, my style had looked at, like, at the time, was it wasn't quite the refined style that you see now. But I would also write random stuff to my husband and stuff like this. But see, just lots of faces, lots of practicing faces. How old have you been? How old am I? Curious. I'm 28, if that helps. I don't know if that's what you were asking. Oh, started to tip. There we go. My tripod is the best tripod, so forgive me. I am 28. I'll be 29 this year, and I really started dedicating to drawing ladies when I was 22. Yep. And this is one of my earlier full Copic pieces. I actually really like this one. It's definitely an older style, what you were saying. I just wanted to make sure I had the question correct, so don't ever apologize. And when I say it's definitely my older style is because I used to draw the eyes really big. I wasn't, like, granted, like, my proportions aren't like super amazing now, but my proportions have definitely gotten more in the sense of realistic. This is another favorite of mine from 2015 and still in my older style. And this is where, like, every now and then I would add hands. So when I was doing my hand tutorials for you guys, and I had told you guys how I kind of really started with that simple hand view, this is literally what I meant by, like, this is what I started with. And these were like started and never finished pieces also, but you know, like I said, thank you. This is going back. This is only 4 years ago. So think about that. You know, like this used to be my style, and this is still when I was in the process of figuring out my style, and it takes time, and your style will constantly change, and you'll kind of find your niche at one point, and it won't really change much from there. You'll kind of just be at a point where it will get more refined, it'll get maybe a bit more detailed, but it will still stay relatively the same. So a lot of what I used to do when I was first starting drawing girls was just using reference photos, using references from artists, and just kind of taking shapes and tips and tricks from them. And I mean, I have multiples, so many different artists, not just one, because using just one reference more so can lead to copying artists, if that makes sense. Not exact copying, but you know, you more so tend to pick up on their style rather than finding your own through exploring different artists. And so one thing I'll always say is just explore and learn and try all different kinds of styles. So again, like, I used to have like tons of eyelashes in my pictures, and this is another one I actually really liked. I tried to do like a ton of little dots and flowers, and it kind of went crazy. I still really like the way it looks, but it's definitely my older style. So, oh, that page is blank. So there's no point in going to that page. But again, like here I'm using Prismacolor Kohl Erase because I still love those. And this is when my style kind of started getting more refined. I will, like I said, at some point, you know, I'll do another live stream with you guys because I actually really enjoyed this and I talked with you guys. But I'll pull out my starter sketchbooks, like when I started drawing faces, and I'll show you just the difference. You know, you start off so simple, and that's okay because that's how you learn and grow there. But the biggest thing that I will say as you're going is to constantly challenge yourself. So like, even with this, like, you look at bodies now, this was like me trying to draw a body back then. And so 2015, you know, full body sketch, you know, 2015 coloring and faces. Like, my coloring hasn't really, like, it's changed in a lot of the ways that I do it, but it's more so like sometimes I even go back to this way of coloring. So it just really depends. This was a fun piece, although really the only thing I didn't like about this one was I wasn't a fan of the eyes. I feel like I lost a lot of character within the eyes for this one. But this is when I was really trying to color more and try more coloring and try more refined images and stuff like that. So it really came down to just drawing every day and trying different things. And this was me coloring with no outline, which actually I think came out really nice. And I do still do it now and then, but it is pretty rare because I do like to have the outline. I do also like the soft look, but it just depends. But you can see like my faces are starting to get not quite as wide. The eyes are starting to get a little bit smaller, and it really just kind of grows in time. Back in 2015, I had a big theme that I actually kind of plan on bringing back, moon curls, which were primarily black and white with some like pink and purple tinting to the face. And this one here, this is actually one of my personal all-time favorites. This is all done in Copic marker, and one that I spent hours on. And I came up with a design one day and I finished it, and yep. And I use it for thumbnails more often than not because it's round and it kind of fits and it's perfect and I love it. Thank you, Annalise. Yeah, it's crazy even for me to look back, and like I said, I get a chance to, because they're all upstairs in storage, so I don't want to make you guys like wait for me to go get some older ones. But even when I look back at these ones, I see how much I've changed, how much I add now, and it's really interesting to see. This is like one of my first attempts at like trying to do a fan art, and more another one of those like full which they used to be like super stick frame to me, compared to like the curves that I add. And I had a lot of different kind of just portrait designs, but I really kind of wanted to grow out of more of just the face and neck, and that was my whole goal. So when I started, like I had said, I drew faces for years, and just nothing but faces, trying to figure out my style of face that I like to draw. And then I started adding slowly but surely neck, shoulders, arms, legs, you know, the hips and the chest and everything. And you know, there was the good and the bad days, and there's drawings that came out amazing and drawings that came out yes, I love Totoro. I actually have the art of My Neighbor Totoro book and the art of Spirited Away, which I need to get the art of Howl's Moving Castle, because those are my 3 personal favorites. Howl's Moving Castle is like my #1 favorite. I just think it's absolutely amazing. This is me using a random gold like metallic pen, and then here I have more just random sketches and everything. See my random hands and faces continuing on. You can hear them. My husband just got home, so they're like trying to yell at him. But this was more color pencil. These were actually, this is the Prismacolors for Liliana, who was asking about the Prismacolors. But that is just more like the rough variation. These are still the same paper. This is still the Canson XL. I'm still using the same stuff. And a lot of my drawings too, I would do in ballpoint pen, because with ballpoint, it was more permanent, and there was more of a, or or less of a room for error. So it kind of makes you, Castle in the Sky is a great one too, Maggie. Kind of makes you have to accept your mistakes. So there's these, and like this one, and then let's see, hey. And then there was this one that was older also.
What's going on?
I'm on a live stream.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. And let's see, I think there's a couple more pages in here. So then we have that. But yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of constantly practicing. Hey. And constantly, you know, working on just refining your skills. The more references you get, the more that you take and practice from other artists and everything, the more you kind of learn and develop and figure it out. And that's what so this is, you can see I wrote the final page. So this is the last sketch in this one. And but yeah, I mean, it's really like, I have a lot of artists that I love to follow off of Instagram, off Tumblr, and it's really a matter of kind of just figuring out what your favorite style is, what, you know, really inspires you, what you kind of want to aspire towards, and working from there. And, you know, the biggest thing that I will say is try not to copy from another artist, but more so try to use them as a reference to learn. You know, that's part of why I wanted to do tutorials for you guys, to kind of show you how I got started and show you how I do things, because, you know, rather than taking and trying to copy, but trying to more so draw. And that's why I think also the Draw This in Your Style challenge is wonderful as well, because it opens the opportunity for you to create something from another artist, to develop and hone your skills. And I think that's one of the best ways to kind of go about developing and learning and getting better in your field. And it takes time. It takes time and it takes practice and drawing every day, and I'm still constantly learning myself, you know, so it's kind of just a never-ending process. And I've gotten more into my style now over the years, and I kind of have a style niche that, you know, is become mine. But at the same time, like, there's always room for change and, you know, developing, getting better at certain shading, maybe certain coloring, all kinds of stuff. So it's really just a matter of, you know, practicing and not letting yourself get down, because it's so easy for us as artists to look at someone who you might consider as better or amazing and get in of like, oh, I can never do something like that. And that's not the right mindset to be in. Like, you might not be able to draw exactly like that person, but you're gonna hone a skill of your own that is gonna be unique and beautiful, especially the more that you grow into your art style. So yeah, you know, a little background and tidbits of information. I just, you know, I think you guys all have a great ability, and I don't want to see anybody discouraged because it's not a certain way yet, you know, because it's going to grow, it's going to get better, and it just takes time. And sometimes it's hard to be patient, you know, with that, but you'll get there. So don't give up on yourself. But I am going to be ending this here soon, so I hope that you guys have all enjoyed this. I'm gonna at least finish up this piece real quick and be getting off here. So I hope that you guys have had a lot of fun. Okay. But yeah, and if there's anything else that you guys have questions about or anything that you guys would like to know before I go, you just let me know. I will give you all the advice that I can, all the tips that I can. You know, everyone kind of has their own set of knowledge for how they do things, and I think it's great to learn from everybody. And I really wanted to do this live stream with you guys so that it was a bit more personal than just kind of leaving comments or doing a voiceover. Oh, another nice thing, if you do decide to try out the Prismacolor Colorase, is obviously they come with their own eraser. I mean, it's just like a normal pencil eraser, but it actually works pretty good. I end up usually going through it pretty quick though. So, one of my favorite little hacks, I guess you could say, is I love these little guys. The little like children's school erasers, the ones that just pop on to the end of your pencil, and I use the heck out of them. I'll buy like a 20 pack and use them. It's silly, but like you get things like a 20 pack for like $2 and they're decent little erasers, so why not, right? Especially because they have a little more angle on them or an edge. Like I said, I do really like the kneaded eraser, but because I'm oftentimes like a quick eraser, I like to have some that flip over. So whatever helps, right? Do you guys have any art goals for this year? Maybe something I'd be curious about. You know, like what is something you guys want to learn or want to experience in the year moving forward? You know, even if it isn't art related, you know, what is something you guys want to do or want to accomplish going into this new year? Since even though we are in February, see you later, Annalisa. Thank you for joining. And oh, a comic. Comic would be cool. What kind of comic? Like a web comic? Like I don't know if you've heard of it, but like I recently have been into the app called Webtoons, and I've been reading this one comic called Lore Olympus, and it's kind of like a reimagining on the romance of Persephone and Hades. And I've actually like really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a modern telling, but it's actually been really good. So I think that would be great. I'd love to see something like that. If you do it, send me the link. Small World on Webtoons. I have to look it up. Let me write that down so that I don't forget, because now you have me curious. I'm gonna take my extra little piece of paper.
Small World on Webtoons. That way I don't forget it's on Webtoons. So I have done some comic style art in the... Hey, if it's one you like, I'm down to read it. I know you said you wanted to create one, so... But that's awesome. I have like debated doing like a little comic where, because I have one little style that I do of like me and my husband, and I've worked on different like styles for our dogs for doing the comic, which tends to be a little harder fitting it into that style. But it's something that like I like to do and kind of just post every so often as like of like a behind the scenes kind of thing, because it's something funny that happens. A love fairy and her adventures. I think that would be good. Like, hey, cheesy isn't a bad thing. Cheesy is like, there's a reason people like cheesy, because it's fun to get behind and fun to read, and especially as ladies, we kind of tend to totally get behind the cheesy. So, you know, I'd say embrace it and have fun with it. And if you post on Webtoons, let me know so I can follow you and read it. Even if you post it on the blog, send me the link. Lady, what are you doing over there? Lady. She's fine. She's just sniffing. But yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I think my biggest thing is I want more watercolor. I've been watching a lot of like Kellogg's Loops. Oh yeah. What is your Instagram? Oh, same name as YouTube's. Gotcha. Same with mine. It works out when you do it that way. So I'm gonna write it down. Cool. So I will get to that once I am not using my phone for the live stream, obviously. But yeah. Hey, just be ready for it. So I do want to thank you all who are in here and who have come and checked this out. And thank you guys for also... Hey Maggie, you're good. You know, every now and then you gotta just throw a little promo out there. Nothing hurts. It's all fun and games here. The best thing about an art community is, you know, we're all here to support each other. So, you know, it's... I get being shy about, you know, not promoting yourself. I'm kind of the same way, but it's also okay to every now and then. And like I think it also helps to kind of, you know, put yourself out there, and it gets a little scary, but you also never know what will happen. So thank you for doing that. And like I said, I'm going to check it out as soon as I'm not using my phone. So don't feel bad. And I look forward to it. And yeah, like I said, I want to thank you guys all for coming out here and watching and joining me. You guys have been so kind. Yeah, I think fairies are great. I went through a phase when I was younger, this was like middle school, where I used to draw fairies. Granted, my abilities were not very nice back then, so they were kind of stick figure fairies. But and I'm sure maybe you've heard of her, but if you haven't, I actually am a pretty big fan of Amy Brown. She's a big like fairy water artist, and I absolutely love her work. And I actually like, I didn't even realize she was Instagram. It made sense, but I just found her like in this last year. But I have her books that are like older, like printed in like 2000, 2004. So it was just really cool to kind of find her actually on Instagram. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this session. I want to say thank you guys so much for coming out. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed to talk to you all, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of the day. And if you would like to do this again, let me know, and I'll try and plan another live stream and actually set up a time so you guys know when I'll be on. All right. Thank you again. You guys are super awesome. Thank you.